What's going on, Bucs fans? Back here at it again with another edition of Hear the Cannons podcast, brought to you by BucsGameday here on the SI Network. Super excited about today's episode. We've got an awesome guest for you, but before we get to him, I want to introduce you to my co-host for today. We got Caleb Skinner on my right. Below me, we got River Wells, bringing you great content over here at BucsGameday. Make sure you guys are checking that out. It's Sports Illustrated's only website dedicated to Bucs coverage. River's been boots on the ground every day. We're getting Caleb out there as well. We're pumping out a ton of content. Shout out to the team. Shout out to River for having to edit it all because we are just on a tear right now. We should be your one-stop shop for all Buccaneers because we've got whatever you need. You're looking for analysis, insight, opinion pieces, kind of aggregate pieces about who's ranked where. Obviously, Madden rankings are coming out. That's been a big topic of discussion. We've got all that stuff and more. Tom Brady news, Caleb. We've got all that stuff over at Bucs Game Day. So make sure you guys are tuning into that. Make sure you guys are here, liking, subscribing, turning on reminders. If you're watching on YouTube, we appreciate all the likes, comments. We'll definitely get into those. If you're on Twitter, we appreciate you there too. But come on over to YouTube, like, subscribe, help us grow this channel. The more you guys do that, like and subscribe, the more it puts us out in front of the masses and gets us in front of other Bucs fans. The algorithms, it's all about the algorithms nowadays, SEO and algorithms. So we definitely appreciate everyone tuning in now. Again, throw your questions out there. Keep it PG, all right? We don't want nothing crazy, and we might even ask your question to Cody. So without further ado, I mentioned him already, but we have Buccaneers starting right guard, Cody Mauch in the building. Cody, how are we doing today? How's everything going? Are you enjoying your off day?
Fellas, how you doing? Great to be on. Yeah, really enjoying the off day. Just, give the body a little rest. My fiance and I went and got her engagement ring resized, so that was pretty fun. But, yeah, just kind of taking it easy today.
First off, congratulations. Obviously, if you didn't see, Cody got engaged this offseason. He did it on a lake like a stud. We actually asked you. You said you were more nervous about that than playing your first game. So what kind of first of all, you always have to have a wingman there to capture it. Who did you get into that? How'd you do it? How'd you get a natural feel where she didn't know what was coming?
And crazy enough, I guess my wingman on this job would have been my grandma. I took her out. I told my fiance that we were going out to the lake to help put a jet ski in, and she's probably thinking like, "What the heck am I? How am I going to help with putting a jet ski in?" And my grandma left a little. Yeah, my grandma left a little note on the table, so she was saying, "Why don't you guys go take the pontoon out?" So that was pretty fun. Grandma helped me out with that one.
Nice. That's awesome. Nice to have a wing grandma, I guess. So that's awesome. But we're in full we're transitioned to off season to full swing of camp now. We got pads on. So first off, coming back because you spent a lot of the time up north, coming back into the heat. How was that adjustment for you? And how's camp been going for you the first week and a half now in?
Yeah, it's good. Been a great start. I thought it's been going in terms of the heat, it always takes a little bit. I feel like even if you're down here, you still struggle a little bit during that heat sometimes. So getting adjusted to it, feeling pretty good out there. Football-wise, think everything's going really well. Team's looking awesome. I'm just really pumped about how things are going so far.
You notably put on some weight, got a little I feel like I just had a podcast I was talking about you. I'm like, it's the only area that you can talk about someone's lower half not be weird about it. But it seems like you put a little seat in the pants to help you anchor a little bit more. You obviously got a little bit bigger. How do you think that's going to help you this season? I know you mentioned kind of hard to tell until you get the pads on, 2 practices in pads. How have you felt like that's helped you?
Yeah, I think it's been good. The biggest thing with it, is get a little bit more power behind myself in the run game, help myself anchor a little bit in the pass game as well. And even just with, 2 practices, I definitely see that already kind of coming to fruition a little bit. Think that's already helped a bit. And, yeah, just still probably getting used to a little bit of the extra weight, but don't think it's not holding me back or anything. So it's been really good so far.
Still feeling the same athleticism that you had?
For sure, yep.
Perfect.
Yeah, we love that, Cody. And, going off kind of what JC was talking about and, you adding the weight on this offseason and everything, you're going to be heading into your second season as a starter at the right guard position there. What are your goals and aspirations, now that you've kind of gotten that taste of what the NFL is like and now heading into your second season?
Yeah, I mean, really just build off what it was last year. It's I've probably said it before, but you're really thrown into the fire when you're a rookie, and especially asked to play a lot as a rookie. So you're really thrown into the fire. You get a little bit of grace for being a rookie, but year two now that grace is gone, so it's time to step up and I guess not make any of those young guy rookie mistakes anymore. But especially just for me, it's just a confidence thing now. It's just I feel a lot better already with this start of camp, just confidence wise, and just kind of carry that now into these preseason games, and from there on after that.
Specifically for you though, it wasn't all butterflies, right? You came in as a left tackle, had to make the transition to right guard, opposite side, and we know that can be a struggle for some. Obviously, Luke tried to do it the year before, going the opposite way, but for you not to miss a game, not to miss a snap. I mean, you're out there every single game, every single snap, no plays off. How did that help you? And what was the most difficult part of that transition? And coming into that second year, do you feel like a right guard, or do you still kind of feel like a left tackle or left side player trying to play the right? Is it natural for you yet?
No, I definitely think it's natural now. It was definitely a little bit of a switch last year, getting used to going from left, everything out of a left stance now onto the right side. It took a little while to be fully comfortable with it. Now, I mean, I feel like if I tried to get in a left-handed stance, it would just feel goofy. You take however many reps the entire year last year in games, practice, everything. It's a lot of reps right there in one stance, doing it at one position. So I really do feel pretty confident. Absolutely a right guard now.
So there was kind of talk in the offseason about, well, maybe not with the team, but with like media and stuff, like, would they move Cody back to left guard, kind of like they did with Luke, moving him from, left guard to right tackle? Would he feel more comfortable? Were you ever approached as, hey, we might want to move you back to left guard? Or was it like, hey, you're a right guard, continue doing what you're doing there? Was there any kind of talks at all about maybe moving back to the left side at all?
Yeah, I guess not really to me. No, I mean, it was pretty much keep going, build off what you did last year at right guard, and just kind of keep doing that. And I guess if there ever was any talks of that, they never really talked to me about it.
Yeah, Cody, I wanted to ask you because Liam Cohen is the offensive coordinator here in Tampa Bay, obviously, after Dave Canales was here last year. And I want to ask you, particularly, A, I know it's a little early, but how you're feeling in Liam Cohen's offense in camp, and B, if any, and whatever you'd like to say about it, you can. If the blocking schemes maybe are a little bit different under Liam, or if it's something similar that you may have been used to playing with Dave.
Yeah, no, first of all, it's been going great with Liam's offense. I think everyone, there's always there's a period it takes to just pick it up. You're not going to be able to pick it up just in the off season. It takes a while to get going, and I really do feel like we're on the right path right now. Like, I feel great with where we're at as an offense. You can really see the things he's trying to, I guess, emulate or spotlight kind of with his offense. But no, it's blocking, scheme wise, is just a little bit of coaching changes here and there from what we had last year. Every coaching staff is going to have, mid zone is mid zone, but every coaching staff is going to tweak it, a little bit here and there. So now we're just kind of trying to dial into those little, I guess, blocking changes or those little technique switches that Liam wants us to do. And it's been great so far.
And the run game in particular is probably going to be an emphasis going forward next year. How confident do you feel with what Liam Cohen's brought to the table that the run game is going to really kind of take the next step this year?
No, I feel great with it. It's already, we're doing a lot of just motions, jumping guys, moving guys around. It helps us out so much with getting a picture kind of for what the defense is trying to do, and also just get guys in favorable positions, and one of the biggest things is, just it's not too much different than what we've been doing in the past. There's just a little bit extra flavor with it, I would say. So it's been going well with all the guys, just kind of learning it together. And run game, I think that's going to be one thing that we'll get after this year.
Well, that's awesome. And as JC mentioned earlier, 2 days in the pads, Cody, what has that been like? We've heard about how the intensity is, picked up a little bit, from where we're standing. You can hear the pop of the pads and the helmets hitting and everything like that. So it's awesome to, be back and know that football is back again. What's it like for you guys, and what's the intensity level out there now that pads are back on?
Oh, it's great. Shoot, I was thinking the last time I put pads on was that Detroit game, and that was back in January. So that's so long ago. It's crazy, but it's great. It's just a good feeling. It's good to be out there in helmets and in your spider pads and whatnot doing stuff, but you don't really get a true feel for anything, especially, O-line, D-line. It's tough to get good, let's say, pass pro reps because we're just all we have to grab is a jersey from the defense, and they can't really work their power rushes. So now that we got pads on, we can finally kind of work true football here, and it's been it's good. I love it. You gotta love it.
Yeah, getting those hands on those pads is huge.
Need that. You need the pad.
Yeah, definitely. The pass rush has been on a tear, I feel like, pre-pads, and you saw it kind of slow down a little bit. You're like, whoa, now we got something to hold on to. It's a fair game here now.
Mm-hmm.
But with you and Luke, it's such a bond you have to have with the guy next to you to kind of know what they're doing or what they're seeing, how they're going to move, how they're going to react to a certain thing. If you're going up against Aiden Hutchinson, he comes in with an inside move. What's Luke going to do to set you up to counter that and help take care of that and stuff like that? So, like, as far as your relationship goes, and as far as you coming into your own more now as year two, what do you think has been the biggest growth there? Because both of you guys didn't miss a snap last year. What's been the biggest growth coming into year two, and just like the first week and a half of training camp? What do you feel has really kind of taken to the next level between you two?
Yeah, I mean, it's a couple things. Just throughout the entire year last year, already kind of have a good feel with how Luke plays things, how Luke's where he's going to be in a pass. Like, let's say Hutchinson comes inside, I don't even need to see it. I'll kind of know how Luke's going to be setting that, kind of how he would pass that off if we have any games. So just like in terms of football, I just have a good feel for, I think, like what Luke is going to be doing. But one of the biggest things I think between us is, I'm not a rookie anymore. And so maybe last year, sometimes I was a little bit tentative to like, hey, Luke, like if I need something more from him, maybe a little bit tentative to tell him that, but not anymore. Now it's like dumb me to even think that, like Luke, if there's anything he needs from me, like I'll absolutely tell him. Like, I don't know, just our relationship's grown a lot too. Just I feel like we have the same like sense of humor and whatnot. So it's just like little things like that, just kind of adding up to mesh really well together.
Can of corn.
Yep.
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, my bad. I thought River was going to go on that one. But yeah, speaking, we're talking about Luke and Luka Decky, obviously next to you. And then we brought in rookie, Graham Barton there, the center out of Duke. He's played all along the offensive line throughout his collegiate career and throughout his high school career as well. Now coming in, expected to play center for the Bucs. What is, him coming in kind of done for you guys? What has he been doing that has stood out to you, from a rookie standpoint, understanding that, it's kind of tough to make that transition, be expected to start like you did last year. What are some of the things you've seen from him where he's kind of excelling, or, just how he's kind of fitting in along the rest of you guys there on the offensive line?
Yeah, the biggest thing is as much last year of like, thrown into the fire it was for me, I feel like it's even more amplified for him just since he's, playing right now. He's playing the center position. So you kind of control everything. You're making all the mic IDs, really whatever he says goes. So a lot's kind of on his plate, but he's been handling it great, and he's so receptive to, I guess, like the different personalities of the different guys on the line. If he makes a wrong mic ID point, I'm going to tell him it in a little bit different way than like Luke or Tristan would. And he just is he's really, really receptive to all of those things. But guy just knows ball. I mean, we'll get back after a play, and at the same time, we're just telling each other like, oh, let's try this instead. And it's just he's been playing good. I think it's been fun to play next to him.
It's awesome.
It's good. Yeah, we have a question here from the comments, which says, "Where do you think Tristan Wirfs is going to take the lineman to dinner after his contract signing?"
Oh boy!
And well, you feel free to talk about your Tampa Bay food recommendations, but otherwise, Tristan Wirfs is still out there, not necessarily doing some team stuff with pads on, but he's in the building. He's shown up. So how important is it to, not only the whole offensive line, but the culture in general that, Tristan's willing to get in there with the guys and learn and still play while this is going on?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. It's great to see him around. Everyone knows the situation he's in. Everyone's understanding of it. The fact that he's out there doing things, I think, a lot of other NFL superstars wouldn't be even doing anything. So the fact that he's there, means a lot to us. And also, as an offensive line, that's our guy. That's our leader right there. So, like, to see him out there going through the, crappy individual, like when you're just sweating, going through it, like, it's great to have him there going through that with us. But as a team, too, I mean, Tristan's one of the leaders of the team. So, he might not be taking, all that many reps in like practice, but he's still vocal out there, still talking to guys, watching guys. So it's just great to have him there, and couldn't see us doing it without him. But he better take us somewhere nice after he gets his contract done. That's for sure.
What are some of your favorite places in the Tampa Bay area since you've been here?
We really like Olivia, Italian restaurant down in Tampa there. Bella Brava is a good spot too. We really like the Italian food down here. It's been really good. A lot of different sushi. Never going to complain about some Ocean Prime. That's so good.
Ocean Prime, absolutely.
There's that bill coming into play though.
That's tough.
Well, we know about these if we got some Yelp updates. I mean, come on.
I've been slacking so hard. I got to get back going. We talked about it last year. Yeah. I know. It takes 3 minutes to fill out a Yelp review, and I'm just like, I don't want to do it right now. I got to get going again.
People want to know, Cody. Yeah,
they got to know. They have to know.
Bellagio's is a good Italian restaurant up on 41 in Lutz. I'll send you that information.
Good to know. Thank you.
Really good. It's like an old school Italian kitchen. You can hear him like yelling at Italian in the background. They got like this guy coming and plays the Italian guitar with the little strings and stuff like that. It's a good little environment. Doesn't look great, so it tastes great.
Like that,
the place great. At least. The place at least. The food looks amazing. It's a little hole in the walls. But kind of want to talk to you too about first of all, what's Jason doing? He drafts a left tackle to play center, left tackle to play right guard, a right tackle to play right guard, a right tackle to switch him to left tackle. Have you guys gonna team up and be like, bro, just let us play our normal positions? What are we doing here?
We talked about that a little bit last year. We're like, I think just about everybody in this room right now played tackle in college, and I mean, if there's a position to do that with, tackle makes sense. Athletic guys out there, and it's a little bit easier to kick guys into guard and center than it is to kick them out to tackle. But we talked about that last year. Like, I think we're all tackles in here. This is crazy.
Yeah, because even Hainsey was a right tackle in Notre Dame. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. I wonder what Ben Bredesen played in college. Now that he's probably in line to be the starter there. After some terrible news, River, I'm going to take this one from you, but since we're on the topic of offensive linemen, obviously Sua, tore his ACL. What was the reaction to that? What did you see out of him and Bredesen in that competition? Obviously now it's come to an end, unfortunately. But kind of what was your reaction to Opeta coming down with the torn ACL and everything else I just asked?
Yeah, I mean, that's terrible. You hate for that to happen, especially new to the building, just kind of coming in and fighting for a starting spot, and was playing well too this camp so far. Like, it sucks to happen to anybody. He's such a great guy too. It's just it's terrible, but he'll rehab it. He'll come back. He'll be just fine. But like I said, just tough for him. But I guess now just kind of opens up competition elsewhere too. So maybe some good can come of it for other guys getting reps as well. But yeah, definitely tough for him.
One of those guys has kind of been directly behind you on the second unit. Also a rookie, Elijah Klein. So getting a lot of second team reps at right guard. What have you seen out of this person, period, of the show, if you didn't know, until we get some questions or anything like that. But what have you seen from Klein that's impressed you, that kind kind of makes you think that he might have a future, maybe as a starter or as a good backup in the league?
Yeah, the biggest thing with Klein is he just wants to get better. Everything he does, he's the guy who's gonna ask you questions. Hey, how do you go about this block? What's your footwork like? Kind of what's your thought process here? And working extra things after practice. Like, he's just a guy that wants to get better. And, that's something that you can't really teach a lot of guys. Everyone wants to be good, obviously, but not a lot of guys are going out and just asking these questions with how do you actually do it? And so it's been great. And I learned things from him too. Like I talked about in an interview the other day, he's got a really good punch right off the and his little his jump sets. Like, he's got great hands. I'm kind of talking like, what am I doing? Like, help me with that. So it's great to have a guy. He's a great dude, and he's gonna be a really good player.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah. And speaking of rookies, Cody, Elijah Klein, obviously later in the draft, but there's other guys as well, both on the offensive and defensive side of the ball. You're going up against some of them in practice. You're alongside them on the offensive side of the ball in practice as well. Looking at both sides of the ball, what, kind of guys are impressing you per se, or kind of standing out in your opinion?
Yeah, I mean, I would say Graham's been playing really well. Feel like that's a given. Talked about him a lot, but Graham's playing really well right now. Luke's. It's just, I love playing next to Luke. I'll say that over and over again. Like, he's just such a good guy to play next to. But other side of the ball, I mean, shoot, I go up against Kalijah every rep in practice, and Kalijah's he's already head and shoulders better than he was last year, and that's saying something because he was pretty dang good last year. But Kalijah's gonna have a great season. It's just the fact that those are the practice reps going up against a guy like Kalijah, like, it's just he's just such good hands. Kalijah, when him and Yaya are over on the same side, some of those little stunts and games that they do, it's tough. They're two great players. They're both playing so well right now. So sucks to see that training camp from an offensive line perspective, but love it as, obviously going to see great things out of those two guys this year.
Yeah, Kalijah Cansey's getting a lot of buzz from, Bucs fans and national opponents alike, especially like you mentioned, he played some really good football last season, and now he's here this season. Playing against him and obviously guys like Vita Vea, who, their reputation has been vaunted for a while in this league. How does that make you, a better guard and the players around you better? And how excited are you to be able to take those reps against them and improve your own craft in practice?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. You're not going to, like, the thing about going up against Vita in practice is you're not going to see a stronger defensive lineman in the entire league than Vita right there. So,
right.
If you can stop Vita or at least suppress his bull rush a little bit, you clock that as a win in your head. Like, that's great. Like, just build off that. And it's just such a tough guy to move. So it's great to be able to go against a guy like Vita in practice, because like I said, you're not going to find many guys that you just cannot move across the league. So, it's just great going against him, Kalijah. Like, I feel like we got a pretty good D line to practice against. So, you see a lot of different things from different guys too. It's not all just speed guys, not all just power guys. It's hands guys. It's this, it's that really relates well to the wide range of players you're going to see the rest of the season.
And kind of going off of that, you mentioned, you're not going to find a stronger guy than Vita Vea, but there are a lot of really good, defensive players in this league. Looking forward, I know it's a little early. Obviously, we're still in training camp, but are there any players that you are particularly looking forward to going up against this season, kind of to help, like we mentioned before, kind of help you hone your craft and become better, and kind of the excitement of going against some of the top players in the NFL?
Yeah, I guess I don't really have anyone I'm necessarily like looking forward to going against, but definitely some guys in there that are just great battles and just tough to go up against. I mean, last year we played the Eagles twice, got to go up against Fletcher twice.
Yeah,
Fletcher, he's such a stud. So it's just going up against a guy like that. Derek Brown from the Panthers, we go up against them twice a year. So he's a really great, I feel like, underrated player too across the league and among fans and whatnot. He's a great player. So no one really in particular, but a lot of guys that you definitely kind of know that week. You're like, all right, gotta bring it.
or you went up against like Pro Bowlers for like the first 4 weeks of this. It was like
Yeah,
murder.
welcome to the NFL. That was fun.
Yeah.
It was like, geez, Vita Vea and training camp wasn't bad enough. Here's a bunch of guys that you got to go against now.
Oh my goodness.
I kind of want to talk about Baker. He was asked about you and what kind of growth he's seen from year two. He's obviously talked about your body transformation, but you said that you're not as uptight anymore. You're a little bit more loose, and you're kind of you're not like one of the loudest guys in there, but you've kind of come out of your shell a little bit more now that you're in year two, and you kind of alluded to that with Luke and stuff like that. But when you have a quarterback like Baker and he messes with all of you guys, does that get you jacked up? Does that get you start talking trash a little bit more? Maybe when you weren't doing it so much as a rookie, does that kind of break you out of your shell, having a guy like that kind of being your leader on offense?
No, I would definitely say so. One of the biggest things is it's just another year now with a lot of these guys that you played with last year where, one more year of familiarity. So especially a guy like Baker, if you ever do anything wrong on the field, Baker's never going to come at you and get mad at you. You'll talk to him, explain kind of what happened, and you'll talk. He's never just going to get after you. So, that's what you want out of a quarterback, is a guy who's going to have your back, loves to hang out with us off the field. So it's like, hey, you can't ask for much more than that. I feel like there's probably not all that many quarterbacks across the league who are doing everything with their linemen. So it's just great. It's great. Bake's such a good guy.
All right, last year I think you took it to the Bahamas, right?
I took a couple guys out there. Yeah, I think it was him and Tristan. A couple guys went out.
You gotta earn your stripes, right? So.
There you go. That's what it is.
But I also want to talk to you because you've got a couple different type of running backs on the roster, different skill sets, right? Rashad White. Now you got Bucky Irving in there, Chase. When you're in there and you're blocking a certain scheme, do you get a feel for like, okay, Rashad kind of likes this, or I know you might not know Bucky well enough, but if I give him this little space, he can make someone miss, and that could be a big difference. Like when you're blocking for a running back, are you more focused on what your blocking assignment is specifically, or in the back of your mind, do you feel like I know like if I give Rashad this, he can make something out of nothing, and it might not be exactly what the scheme says to do, but like on this play I can do this, and this will give him, or on this whatever look I'm getting, etc.
No, yeah, I would say for the most part it's mainly just block the scheme. But as you get going throughout the season, like last year, Rashad and Chase, they have great conversations with us, like, hey, if this happens in wide zone, if this happens in mid zone, like they do a good job telling us what they're seeing and what they like, where they like to hit it. So it does help to know that if I see Chase out there, I know Chase is on wide zone is going to want to get out there and get on the edge. And so you're not really going to change too much about what I'm doing, but it's kind of great to know in my head where he likes to hit the ball, where these guys like to go with it. So that definitely helps.
To give him that more space that he can work with to hopefully make a big play.
Yep.
Along the side of that, I talked to Dave last year and he said something about, and obviously he's not here anymore, but something about that mid zone, wide zone, that is kind of continuation of what Liam's bringing. Obviously, you guys still have your duos and your powers and your gaps and stuff like that thrown in when you need to use it. But he said it took like half a season, even in Seattle, for these guys to learn this system. The blocking, the running backs to know, and everything like that. Did you feel like last year around that halfway point that the line as a whole started to kind of click and say, all right, we've got this down now? And that's when you kind of saw the running game start to take off. And do you think, obviously you talked to Bulls, you don't want any carryover from the last season, right? Whatever you did accomplish last season, it's a brand new slate. But does that make you feel confident that towards the last season, you got the running scheme and the running, to a better level than it was in the beginning?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think you could, just looking at the record last year, see kind of when that happened. It like Dave said it best, it takes a while to get that figured out. It took us, longer than you would have liked last year to get that going, but it's natural with a new offense. It's going to take some time. I think the biggest thing is, you just want it to happen. You want it to start clicking as quick as it can. And just on a great track right now. Like, hopefully we can hit that stride here week 1, as early as you possibly can. So it's really what it is. It just takes time to get it all kind of figured out, get everyone playing together, but on the right track.
Same terminology. I mean, different terminology, but pretty much the same. A lot of the same looks and same systems. Do you guys have you guys had like conversations like, oh, this is what we did last year, kind of like this, and like, oh, we know how to block this. So do you feel like when you do go out there week 1, it's not going to be like it was last year when they're, half the team was, learning a new system from the Arians and, offense and, that style coming to a new style. Do you feel like you should be able to hit the ground running because it's all kind of still fresh in the memory and other than the small differences?
Yeah, for sure. Because it really is, it's a lot of the same emphasis on the same schemes that we were doing last year, especially run game wise. And so it shouldn't take as long to actually click with that. Like you said, it's the small things. It's those little switches with technique that we're making. It's different terminology on things. And it shouldn't take, that long at all to start clicking, just because it's relatively familiar with us now, I guess.
All right. Yes. Speaking of week 1 and tough matchups, Cody, you've got De'Aaron Payne and Jonathan Allen coming up week 1. I know we still have preseason to go, but week 1, you have 2 tough matchups there coming in from Washington. What do you already know about those guys? And is there any advantage or disadvantage to facing them early on in the season rather than later on in the season?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm not too sure about any advantages that way. Just the thing is, and every team's got them. Pretty much every team's got guys that are so good. So it's like, whether you face them week 1, well, week 2 you're going to be facing, these guys who are just as good, and then those guys. Like, it's just everyone's so good across the league. So haven't really looked too much into them yet. But yeah, absolutely a challenge the first week, and excited for it. It'll be fun.
Cody, we have another question from our chat here. Bud says,
coming guys too.
Biggest trash talker on the line, and we'll extend this a little bit for fun on both sides of the ball. Who would you say it is on this Bucs team?
Yeah, Luke is definitely on the O-line, and
Yeah.
KJ on the defense. You will never not hear KJ yapping.
Yeah, we heard a little bit about that from Luke and KJ this camp. So
yep, it's just the way they play, and it's all more power to them. That's how they get going, and it's great. I mean, they keep playing great, keep doing it. I love it.
I think we had Luke mic'd up last season, and you could hear him just talking trash. It was so funny. Do you ever tag team someone? Do you get into it too? Are you a trash talker? You more like I'll let my play do the work, or now year 2? Do you think you'll
open it up a little bit in year 2?
Yeah, I've never really been too much of a trash talker. Maybe he'll start getting open. I guess we'll see how it goes. But all I know is on the right side of the line, we got enough trash talking going on with just Luke. So I don't know if I need to quite yet.
You're throwing Baker behind you, and who talked the most trash to you your rookie year? What defensive tackle was shut up already?
I would say Derek Brown was John pretty hard. He was in my ear the whole game.
Yeah.
Well, anything you can repeat on the podcast?
Probably not too much.
Probably not.
Lot of. He definitely let me know I was a rookie a lot of the time. Just typical stuff like that. But yeah, not too much that could probably be repeated.
Understandable. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is that one of those matchups you have kind of circled because you play him twice? Is there any matchups that you looked at the schedule like, oh, I really kind of want to test myself against this defensive tackle, or I want to go against him because maybe he got the better of me in certain spots next year, and I want to kind of avenge that? Or
yeah, I mean, there's guys like Derek, but he got me a bunch last year, so it's like, want to make up for that, get him back here this year, but kind of just take it week by week and deal with it week by week. But yeah, definitely, a few guys who you want a little bit, I guess, not revenge, but just you want to just make up for from last year.
I'm not that rookie anymore.
That's right.
Do you guys have anything else for Cody?
I don't think so.
Good.
All right, perfect, man. Well, I appreciate your time here for sure. We're very excited about year 2 for you. You can definitely tell that right side of the line is gelling with you and you and Luke over there. With you and Luke both have names that people mispronounce the most. For you, it's Mock instead of Moke, and for Gedeke, it's Gedeke. I feel like even Baker says Gedeke sometimes still, or Gedeke. I'm like, it's Gedeke and it's Moke, guys. Come on. So for everyone else, but
Yeah.
the most mispronounced names on the team right there on the right side of the line. We appreciate your time here. Definitely rooting for your success this season. Can't wait to see what you do in year 2, man. So we'll definitely talk to you soon here. See you tomorrow at camp, and thanks again for stopping by.
Absolutely.
Yeah, thanks, guys. This was great. Had a good time. We'll see you tomorrow.
Awesome.
Thanks,
Appreciate you.
Cody.
Thank you, Cody. Really appreciate it. Yep.
Yeah, Cody. There, guys. We're just continuing getting some good guests on here. I guess we can transition to some training camp talk because, unlike myself, I had prior obligations, commitments, but we had both Caleb and River there yesterday to kind of run down. And I want to talk about one thing that kind of really showed up last night. I think for the first time in pads was a run game. So, River, what were your kind of because you've been out there every day. What was your impressions from the run game last night? A couple big runs. What were you thinking?
There were a few, yeah. So the first touchdown in scrimmage, which came with the number 2s, Sean Tucker had a little bit of a long run, and he had the first touchdown there. They called it a touchdown, obviously, in the context of a scrimmage. But regardless, they're still hitting holes pretty fast. And, of course, as some Bucs fans probably have seen on Twitter, Bucky Irving did put a nice little move on KJ Britt yesterday. So definitely showing some of that elusiveness and that perhaps some of that tackle breaking sort of acumen that he had in college. So as long as that can get better, that's going to be a big boon for the Buccaneers. That was an area everyone knows they struggled in pretty mightily last year. And if they can manage to combine that sort of 1-2 punch, Rashad White, Bucky Irving, Chase Edmonds, provided he's healthy, could be in that mix too. That could be a big one. And that starts with guys like Cody and the interior offensive line blocking well for them.
You mentioned the interior offensive line, and before we kind of move on to more about practice, obviously one of the biggest stories of practice last night was Stuart Opeta going down with an injury and having to be helped off the field with trainers. Turns out MRI came back positive as broke it on ESPN. One of the guys on ESPN broke it.
Fowler.
Yeah, Jeremy Fowler broke on ESPN. He's a great guy. But torn ACL, he'll be out for the season. Ben Bredesen was getting a majority of those reps with the first team anyways, but still that's a big blow to their depth. Caleb, when you look at the roster, who do you think is best to kind of fill that void there? Is there somewhere on the roster or maybe is it someone off the roster with Bredesen likely the starting guard now who kind of fills that void as the depth?
I mean, I don't think you necessarily have to go out and get somebody. I think, the depth is probably a good spot right now for the offensive line, something that can't be said for seasons past. But it was already a battle between the two. Yes, it would have provided better depth than where we are now. But having Bredesen ready to step in, ready to go right away and be your starter is good. Obviously, we've heard from what Cody said about Elijah Klein. He's been playing behind him on the line, but he can easily switch over to that other side as well, which is good because he's versatile along the offensive line, which is something that Jason Licht has loved in his offensive linemen. So I think they're fine. And then you also have Metz. So can't forget about him. So I think the depth there is okay. It's not necessarily where you wanted it to be, but I don't think you have to necessarily go search and find somebody to bring in right away.
Yes, Lorenz Metz, the 6'9" tackle / guard.
He's a very big boy. Yeah,
very big. But River, what do you think? I list some names out there on the free agent market. Obviously, Connor Williams, I think, is the big one, and there's been reports he went to Seattle and had a physical, and nothing came out of it. And Drew Rosenhaus kind of said he's looking to play center, not left guard. But experience there, you kind of look at Phil Haynes, played about 42% of the snaps for the Seahawks at left guard. You got a couple of Giants who they replaced everybody on that interior, and a Mark Lewinsky and a Justin Pugh who played significant kind of reps, 69%, and and 47%. You got Matt Filer. I don't think they revisit that this season after the ending last year. And then maybe a guy like Max Garcia, who's with the Saints, who played about 30% of the reps, or Tyree Phillips for the Giants, who played 50%. But again, the Giants completely overhauled their offensive line because of the lack of production there. Any of those guys stick out to you as band-aids or guys that they can bring in to compete with maybe Bredesen or potentially just be depth piece? Or do you think that the answer is on the roster with a guy like Brandon Walton, Elijah Klein already, and maybe the 6'9" German Lorenz Metz?
Yeah, I feel like the roster is probably the place to look. You do have some impressive names, or at least impressive for being able to step in there and be a good piece. Names like Connor Williams, who tore his ACL last season, didn't he?
Correct.
So he had to rehab that.
Recovered now.
Right. So, but you guys mentioned Klein. You mentioned that. Hainsey, if needed, could probably slip into that sort of role. He played center, but could also play guard, and that would be a good reason to have Hainsey still there as a good safety net in case anything happened on the interior line, because he could probably fill in any of those places, and he has experience playing in the offense and has some chemistry with these players already as well. So I think that would probably be fine. It is a blow to the interior line depth for sure. Because either way, whoever lost that competition was going to be able to serve as good depth for whoever was starting, and that would just allow you to continue to rotate and have more options there. And now that you have one of those gone, it makes it a little bit more dire, which is unfortunate. So for that reason, they might look towards free agency for something really cheap. But I think they could be confident with some of the guys they have there, especially someone they just drafted who's pretty young in Klein, and someone who has experience in the offense maybe. Like someone like Hainsey would. You mentioned Molten as well too. So yeah.
This is just becoming an annual conversation for us.
Injuries happen. It's unfortunate. But the Bucs particularly had some problems there, but that's the way that the game goes, and it's Jason Light tends to do pretty well in trying to cover his bases with that sort of thing. And that's partially why he signed both Opeta and Bredesen, I think. But unfortunately, it turned out the way it did. But we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, I think, I've already seen the calling for, Connor Williams on Twitter already. People are like, get Connor Williams. And I think I talked about this on my show prior to, and like Connor Williams is going to want to start, and he's not going to want to come in. I mean, he's not going to be cheap either. He's not going to be a big deal because he's got to prove it. But he's going to be around the same he paid Bredesen, maybe more, $3 to $5 million, I think, on a 1-year prove it deal. And like, what kind of message does that send to the rest of the guys, right? Bredesen was signed in the offseason, has been there every single day, grinding during offseason training, OTAs, mandatory minicamp, training camp, and he had earned that. He pretty much had earned that number one spot, right? It was still a competition, only 2 days in the pads, so there was still time for him to maybe fumble the bag in the next three practices that they have before they kind of get ready for Cincy week and they want to lock down a starting 5 or get close to it. We lost River, but I don't know if they do something like that and say, all right, we're going to bring him in and we're going to make him the starter, or we're going to make him a guy who's going to have a leg up on you competing for the starting spot. I just don't know if that's something that they would do. You kind of look at the free agents available. I agree. I don't think they're going to go after a big name guy, but a depth piece maybe, you kind of look around the league. Drew Forbes was with the Browns last year. He's left guard. He's 27 years old. Obviously, he's a free agent still for a reason, but he does have experience in that McVay system. Stefanski, is one of those, McVay acolytes that have come down through the tree. And, I'm trying to pull up his PFF grades to see kind of, because he did play a bit last year. He played in just kind of free glance, and he played a few snaps. But again, like, I think it's something along the lines of that, like you mentioned, like a smaller name free agent that they bring in, someone who's going to come over and start or challenge for a starting spot. I feel like they feel comfortable with Bredesen, but I feel like the thing that they're maybe want to add is to depth. And, it might not be right away. 2022 was the last time he played, put up a 72.8 run block, pass blocking, 63.8 overall, in one game with 19 reps. So not a lot of experience, but he's a guy who's been in the league in a similar system. If you want to bring him in, that's not one of these older veteran guys who has struggled where they've been. So, I mean, Trey Turner is still available, but he's more of a right guard. Yeah, it's like, so it's one of those things. You have Hainsey, you have Brandon Walton, you have Elijah Klein, you have, Lorenz Metz, for better or worse, whatever, if he can play guard or whatnot. He played it at Cincinnati, but hasn't shown he can do it in the league. You have other guys there, Avery Jones, Xavier Delgado, that they undrafted guys. So I think you're good. I think you wait until, roster cuts, and then maybe you add a guy there. And I think that's the best, course of action for you there. But I think that's it on the offensive line where it is.
Lorenz Metz would be a comically large guard.
Yeah.
I mean, that way would be huge. Yeah.
And, Richard asked any potential guards can be cut prior to week 1 from other teams. Bud kind of says I'd wait till the roster starts to slim down to possibly look for guard depth.
If you are, it might not be a bad idea. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know anyone off the top of my head that might be cut. I start doing my kind of like scouting, I like to call it. Like I look at all the depth charts. I'm like, okay, he might be cut. Okay, he might be cut. Who could they maybe want to pick up? I don't do that until like after the second preseason game. So I don't have answers there. But I do want to kind of go back to the running game because we had a question from Michael Matheson. And it's kind of asked about Sean Tucker and Bucky Irving. If they got a chance to showcase their growth in pass blocking. So, River, I'll kind of come to you. That was the reason why Sean Tucker went from running back 2 to running back inactive last year, was his pass pro. And Bucky obviously is not the biggest of stature. But we know with pass pro, it's about will and it's about heart and fight. What have you seen out of him as far as pass blocking and Bucky? And what kind of improvements have you seen out of Tucker?
Well, it's been 2 days in pads, like we mentioned. So pass blocking so far has been a little bit minimal, but I can definitely report that they are blocking. It's been part of the running back drills for the past 2 days to go and hit the blocks, and Bucky's doing that, and Sean Tucker's doing that. So I'm assuming as camp goes on, we'll definitely see a little bit more of that happening. And you are correct, JC. That was a big reason why Sean Tucker kind of couldn't stick when he was RB2. And if Bucky Irving wants to make himself useful, particularly if, we don't know exactly what's going on with Chase Edmonds right now, but if he's going to miss some time, you're definitely going to want to brush up on your pass blocking. So that's going to be important.
Absolutely. Caleb, I want to ask you about the superstar sensation that's been taking the Bucs social media by storm on offense. Everyone's excited about this guy. Kind of blew me off tonight. But Jalen McMillan, wide receiver, he's been a scoring machine. It seems like he just finds the end zone. He's pulls in everything thrown his way. It reminds me a bit of Russell Gage when he first came in to training camp. Like the oohs and ahs, like Russell, this guy catches anything thrown his way. He looks so good in that offense. And then he got injured. But what have you seen out of Jalen McMillan? You were there last night. Obviously, he had another big night, deep catch down the field that he brought coming across the middle, and then obviously the touchdown in the left corner of the end zone. What did you see out of Jalen McMillan that's got you excited when you were there last night?
He's just pure, just very pure and crisp with his route running. A lot of question marks we had coming in with him is how is he going to do up against press corners? How's he going to do man-to-man? How is he going to be able to handle more physical guys at the line of scrimmage when, they are playing that press man coverage? So those are question marks. He's kind of answered them at this point. He's putting that to the side, and, no matter what coverage it is, he is starting to produce. He's become a favorite target of Baker Mayfield, especially when either or Mike and Chris are out. So he's kind of been Baker's go-to guy, and he's scoring touchdowns left and right. Doing well against corners who are pressing him and getting open. And it's just, you don't expect it from a rookie. And it just feels like the game is slowed down for him. And it's something that is rare to see from a rookie wide receiver, one of those really good guys. I'm not going to come out here and say that he's going to be a Justin Jefferson or Jamar Chase or somebody like that. But he was Washington's number 1 wide receiver in 2022 before he got hurt. Before you started talking about Jalen Polk and is it Odunze? So he was their number 1 guy. And that injury kind of, made him take a step back, and he looks fully healthy. He doesn't look like anything is, hampering him for the long haul. And as long as he stays healthy, he's got a great shot to wrap up that wide receiver number 3 job fairly early, as River would say, because River's very high on the fact that he has overtaken this job already from Trey Palmer.
Yeah, I think
this is a lot of accusations you're levying against me right now.
You said it in our camp review last night.
Absolutely. Jalen McMillan is extremely impressive, and I'm really excited to see what he can do. And I get the sense, and Liam Cohen kind of said this on your podcast, JC, that they're going to try and play both him and Trey Palmer. So I like some of the stuff that Trey Palmer's done. I think he's had not as remarkable of a camp that McMillan has. And part of that, I will say, is Baker Mayfield still kind of really trying to find that deep ball in camp, and he hasn't quite found it yet. And that's kind of who Trey Palmer is, the wide receiver. But McMillan looks a lot more polished. He looks like, he's got really sure hands, his route running, and it is early. We just gotten pads, so I don't want to,
it's hype
bring
season.
the hype train to huge proportions. Exactly. But I will say, from what I've seen, what Caleb has seen, what we've all seen, UJC, everyone on the beat is super impressed with Jalen McMillan. So hopefully the hype is real. I think certainly he's going to get a lot of that. He's already playing with the ones quite a bit. Granted, a few receivers weren't playing for vet days, but he was getting double teamed yesterday in practice. So that's pretty impressive.
He was technically the number 1 because Chris and Mike weren't playing. So,
right.
I do want to ask you, and then we'll get out of here real quick. I want to ask River. I want to ask you specifically about the edge rushers. We know Trishan Wirfs isn't out at practice. He's not taking part in the team drills. He's out there for indies, but not team drills. So I want to ask you, has the pass rush still been effective? Has it been electric as it was? What did it look like last night? What did it look like on day 1 of pads on Monday? And then, Caleb, I want to ask you for your biggest observation that you had last night that you came away with, and then we'll close the show out. So, River, I want to start with you. As far as the edge rush, is it still electric with the pads on? Have we seen it slow down?
I would say it's still fairly impressive. JC, you were there on, and they were still getting into the backfield in the first day of pads, still managed to do it. And I thought there were 1 or 2 sacks yesterday too, Caleb, if you can recall as well, where definitely they got into it. So it's not maybe, the out of pads constant swarm that we saw, but I think it is encouraging to see that guys like Yaya Diaby, guys, these rotational edge rushers are still managing to get into the backfield and cause a little bit of havoc, especially pressures. We talked about whether or not that Chris Braswell pressure on Baker would have counted when he had that sidearm to Godwin, but that's a pressure, even if it's not a sack, right? So I do think that it's still showing fairly good signs for the future, and will be fun to see how it goes in preseason because, preseason's preseason, but you can also hit the quarterback. That's fun for edge rush. That's edge rushers Christmas in the offseason is when preseason hits. So we'll see how it goes there.
I heard Jose Ramirez showed up. He had some good runs yesterday too.
Yeah, looking good. He's definitely in the rotation for sure, and that'll be fun to see exactly where he fits in to the roster, because whether or not you keep blank many edge rushers, 5, 6, I think they like Jose Ramirez. I think he's kind of carving a little role for himself, so it'll be fun.
And then, Caleb, what was your biggest impression coming away from? You were there Sunday too, so kind of looping Sunday and Tuesday, your days out there. What was the biggest impression you came away with?
I think the biggest impression or biggest takeaway for me just throughout camp is the emergence of Tavierre Thomas. Brought in to be a nickel guy, perhaps for depth reasons behind either Christian Izien or rookie Tyke Smith. And Tyke Smith has kind of emerged as, the leader of that battle right now. And it was originally thought it was going to be between Tyke and Christian from last year. But Tavier has now 3 picks and 6 days of training camp practice. So it's looking really good for him to go ahead and enter this race. So I think that's really good to show the defense is turning the ball over, getting their hands on balls, which is great to see, which is something that Todd Bowles has spoke on repeatedly, is getting back to that type of defense where you can take away the ball from the opposing offense. So that is something that has looked really good. Talk about Yaya. Yaya looks like a freak of nature. Expecting him to take that next step. And then obviously the other really big takeaway here is the Sua Opeta injury, but we spoke on that already. So yeah, that's kind of where I'm at, JC. But we've got a few more weeks to go, and I'm excited to see how all of this plays out.
Yeah, I love that Tavier, who was kind of like, he was like, oh, he's going to be in here compete with Christian. And then they take Tyke, and they're like, oh, he's going to be a backup rotation role. And Tyke is a guy who's making all the plays, and he made the plays and in training and OTAs and rookie mini camp. And then it's Tavier Thomas with 3 interceptions. Granted, Thomas is going against the third team, or the second team rather. He's going up against Trask and sometimes Wolford. But he's played very well on the second team as well, learning 3 positions, learning 2 positions, playing his nickel, but learning strong safety and free safety. We had a good article that I actually wrote, River published and edited out. That's up there, and I think I put my entire interview with him up on my Twitter page. So definitely check, or X page, whatever we're calling it. So definitely check that out. But I think that's one thing that's kind of stood out to me. Like he's making them find a role for him somewhere. So somewhere on this defense, even if it's a few plays, we'll definitely have a spot for Tavier Thomas to show what he can do. We got a question for River. Yeah, we got a question for River here. If you're gonna wear a Fleetwood Mac t-shirt, Darren says, Team Lindsay, Stevie, or Christine, and there are wrong answers, so don't screw this one up.
Stevie, easy, definitely Stevie. Christy, very very big fan too. And Stevie's a great guitar player. Or sorry, Lindsay, but Stevie definitely the vocals. That's what makes Fleetwood Mac for sure.
Okay, all right. Yeah, Stevie's the greatest. But Darren, come over to YouTube, bro. Come over to the YouTube side. Facebook's great. Come to YouTube, and if you're watching on YouTube, make sure you guys are liking, turning on the reminders so you're here every time. You should already be subscribed, so I shouldn't have to tell you that. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on Twitter, come on over to the YouTube side, like, subscribe, turn on notifications. We'll be back here next Wednesday. Not only are we putting out great podcasts with great guests like Cody Mauch, but we are doing recaps daily from training camp, so tune into those. We're one of the only outlets doing that daily, giving you in-depth recaps of training camp. We are also putting up shorts, clips from practice. We're putting up clips from press conferences. We've got so many things coming on here on this YouTube page. So definitely come check this out. Corey, we talked a little bit about Sua Opeta tearing his ACL and what it means. So definitely go back, but I'll just give you the little short clip snippet of it. It's tough for their depth. I think Ben Bredesen, we were all in agreement, probably looked like he was going to win that starting competition, given a few more practices. But again, there was only 2 padded practices, enough time for him to come back. Unfortunately, that's not the case. It looks like Ben Bredesen will be the starting left guard, if everything, barring any unforeseen things that come about. But it certainly helps the depth on there. They'll have to look to guys at the back of the roster to take steps with the increased opportunities and reps that they might have now. But other than that, final thoughts. I'll give River, Caleb, quickly, if you have any final thoughts you'd like to share. No?
I
think we covered it.
Yeah,
Cody talk some training camp. Yeah.
Perfect. All right, well, that's going to do it from us here at the Cannons over on BucsGameday SI. Definitely check all of our amazing workout over at BucsGameday. River's doing a heck of a job editing and publishing that content with Caleb. Okay. Hey, that's fine. There's some typos here and there. Call him out on Twitter when you see him. We're trying to pump out as much content and give you guys the best stuff we can and be your go-to source for Buccaneers. So we appreciate the traffic there. We appreciate guys. Give us a follow on Twitter. Our handles are right there. CHS Noel, JC on NFL, River H Wells, which sounds like it could be an author that I'd read his book. So definitely check that out and continue to tune into the podcast. We're going to be giving you guys great insight, great intel, and we got Instagram, we got TikToks. We're TikToking. We're all over the place. So wherever you can get your social, get us there over at Bucs Game Day. And we'll be back next week. So appreciate you guys stopping by. Like, subscribe, turn on the notifications, and we'll talk to you next week.